Hey guys, welcome to Plan and Order. Today I wanted to do a flip through of my planner. I did a plan with me video regarding setting up the schedule for our 4th grade year, and then I had some interest on a flip through of this planner that I'm using for this upcoming school year. I had done a flip through last year with last year's planner, but I've changed it a little bit, and so this one is different from the flip through I did last year. And so I'll go ahead and flip through this and show you guys what's in this planner. So this is a planner, first off, that I create myself. I create it using Canva, and then I publish it via self-publishing through Amazon KDP. And the reason I do that is because I haven't found a planner that works for me, and so making it myself, I can customize it more to what I like. And it is on sale on Amazon. It is on the higher end when it comes to planners, but that's just because, I only make a couple dollars off of it. KDP takes it all, really, or Amazon, but to publish it, they take a hefty chunk. But I do offer it in case anybody, thinks that this would work for them. But one of the main thoughts that I have when I'm creating this planner is that I'm looking at this through the lens of the fact that I homeschool through a charter, and so there are things in here that are more geared towards that. But every year I change it just because I find other things that I either want to add, or I find things that, could be better, and I note that as I use it. And so I'm constantly noting changes that would be in the next year's rendition of this. So this year's 2025-26 planner, this is what I'll be using. It's Undated, so we'll start off with that, and it's 36 weeks because that's how long you typically homeschool with a charter. Okay, so this first page is the same as last year's was. I always like to start with a nice little quote, the year, the weeks that we're homeschooling, and the students, the grade that they're in. These are going to be blurred out because, private information. I'll write my goals up front sometimes, but I also have another place in the planner where I write my goals. So I don't know if I'll keep this, but this was kind of out of habit from doing it last year, right here. And then there's this little core values that we kind of read just to remind ourselves, to be kind, and we're all human, to start off the school year. And then I go into subscription and membership pages. I believe last year there was only one page, and then I expanded it to 2 because I found that we needed more. And I usually always write in erasable pens, so you see that some of these are like crossed out in red because I have canceled the subscriptions. I could just have erased them, but I like to see that they were canceled and when they were canceled, just in case like they charge me again. That happens sometimes when you look at your bank statement, you're like, no, I canceled that. So I kind of like to just cross it out instead of erasing it, so there's actually some sort of memorialization of it being canceled and when it was canceled. So that's subscription and memberships. Then I have accounts that need to be set up, and so what I do here is anything that is digital usually. So for example, we get IXL through our charter. It's something that they offer for free through our charter, but it's something that you have to request and you have to have an account set up. So this just reminds me that, hey, I need to make sure IXL is set up. And then EIW, that's done online. And I have everything I need to set that up now, but I like to do it right when the school year first starts. So anything that's like that needs to be set up or activated or something like that, you know, I go off of this list, and that's, you know, it reminds me to do it. Then you have a school supply shopping list. So these are just things that we'll write down that we need for when we do our school shopping. These tabs I got on Amazon. I'll link them. I got these ones specifically because they kind of went with the boho theme that I was going for this year, like those more muted colors, where last year was more vibrant and like the galaxy theme. So then this is one of those pieces that is more geared towards charter. And so there's an instructional fun page for both semesters. So for the first semester and then the second semester. And then this is where I would list vendors that we're planning on using, the dates that you are going to be using those vendors for, so the charter can do the PO for them. And then all the details that go along with that. And then this is where I keep track of her extracurricular schedule. So the days that she has her enrichment classes, I'll block them off in here and then like write the classes that are in there. Days that she has her horseback riding, same thing, block it off. Swim, all that, I just like do block off schedule in here. So I can just look and easily see, you know, at a glance, her extracurricular activities. So last year I just had 2 pages for curricula planning. I had the curricula that I was kind of listing that we were going to use, and then this is where you plan it out and put it actually into a functioning schedule. And for this planner, I did it twice by semester. So semester 1, semester 2, because I find that we end up changing, you know, curricula when it comes to second semester. We'll have finished some, or maybe something didn't even work out and we're switching to something different. Then I'm, you know, not making this any more messy than it needs to be. I can just start with a new semester, fresh blank slate. And so, yeah, so this is where I list the curricula, and then I list if we need it or if we have it. And then it helps me remember what we need to get, or some things are things that I need to create, not even necessarily get. And then this is what I covered in my last video. This was when I laid out all of our curricula and then scheduled it out so we know what each day of the week would look like. And the same thing for semester 2. Okay, so monthly themes and holidays. This is where I list out themes that we might want to do for the month. And these aren't something that I necessarily are set in stone. There may be just ideas. And then a note I have for next year's version. So you'll see some of this throughout, like next year's version, I think I'm gonna have 2 pages like this, or I'm gonna incorporate into this curriculum themes and field trips that fit into those themes. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to keep them together or not. But for now, I put them all in here, even though, you know, it's not set up to show that that's what this page is for. So, for example, you know, we have in April, go to the World War II Museum, and that's because we'll be covering that era during April. And so that would go with that theme that we're on for the curriculum. So yeah, I'm using this for monthly theme ideas, curriculum theme, which gives us field trip ideas, and then also holidays. So that's kind of, this is the dumping ground for all of that right now. I might organize it different in next year's. Then I have my year at a glance. This is probably what I look at the most in my planners. I block off, you know, vacations. I flag iReady windows. I flag CASP windows, which is testing that students do for state testing. I flag our vacation. I flag parent-teacher conference days, which are basically days that my partner and I get together and we review how things are going, if we like the curriculum we're using, if we need to supplement or change route or hash out anything like that. Attendance tracker, this is pretty self-explanatory. You would write the month up here and then track it as you go with time. And then you get to the months. And so the months always start with a monthly calendar, and then I note stuff in here in a little bit more detail, or just a brief overview, but more detail than what's on the year at a glance. And then I write down notes in here also. So I know the iReady window is going to be the 18th through the 29th, but I just put 18th through the 28th because we're planning on going on vacation on 29th. So that's definitely not going to be a day that she would be able to do any testing. To-dos this month, back to school shopping, and then schedule an appointment at the resource library to turn in stuff from 3rd grade and to get anything else we might need for 4th grade, which this year I think we're going to have a big haul when it comes to science materials. Then over here we have the monthly plan and reflect area. Typically this would be for the current month, so this would be let's see how I word it. Yeah, so in September it's like thoughts on how last month went. So how was August? You can note it down here, then your goals for this month, then things that need to be reviewed. August is different. And this is different because this is the first month of the year. So I can't say like, oh, how was, you know, July, because that was summer. So I put thoughts on how last year went. And that helps me kind of refresh, because now school's been out for, oh, I don't even know what day it is today. It's like the end of June. I want to say it's the 26th, June 26th. So school's been out for more than a month. And it's good sometimes to bring that stuff back into my mind, especially because like right now work is hectic, things just fall out of my brain. So I'm constantly trying to refresh and remember and reflect and review, and this is one way that I do that. So for example, I wrote this year went very well, but I'd like to do more field trips, and what we need to work on, spelling and writing stamina. And so writing stamina is one of the goals. I'll add spelling to one of the goals, and then more field trips is also a goal. I also noted that we got burnt out by the end of, or actually by the start of May, we were starting to feel burnt out. So maybe I need to really reflect and decide what can we do to maybe prevent that from happening this year. And so that's kind of what this page is for. And then once you are done with the monthly pages, you get into the weekly things. And so the weekly things always start with a weekly things page and weekly overview. I always have the week number. So this is week 1 out of 36. This is the week of August 18th. These are materials and manipulatives. These are materials and manipulatives that we need and that we are going to have to buy. And not have to, that I want to buy. For her nature study, she's going to need, or I keep saying need. She definitely doesn't need. I think we could do without, and you can definitely do without. You can grab a Tupperware or something like that. I just think it would be fun for her to have her own little foraging basket. I garden, and so I have a harvest basket. And I think that she would really enjoy having her own little harvest basket. And because there's a lot of foraging, I think that's going to be in her nature study this year. And then also they suggest as optional, but I just think it would be fun, especially because we garden and so that it would be used. But little envelopes for seeds that you collect while foraging. And so these are two things that I mark like we need, and I mark that we want to buy those things. Then you have the book list. And so again, it's nature studies. I have the lesson 4. So I kind of will have an idea of when I would need it this week, later in the week, because we would have gone through 1 through 3 before getting to 4. And we need the book slowed down, and I marked this, we need it, and we were going to borrow it. So we're going to try to get this from the library. Then you have your week overview. And one thing I already know I'm going to change is this worked for me for last year, but now she has more spelling words now that she's going into 4th grade. So I think, you know, for this, I'm going to pick and choose. I think there's 11 slots here, and so I'll pick and choose 11 of her spelling words, and then we'll do that. But basically, you write the spelling word down, and you mark P if she needs practice, or M if they've mastered it. And so that's how we use this section. And then same with vocabulary words. Then you just have a little notes section. Then I like to write down what health topics we're going to do that week, because we do kind of flow through different health topics. And I piece all of that curriculum together. And so I like to note it down. And then field trips and outings. So we'll write down if we're planning any field trips or outings, and then the little icons that I use. And what I do is I color these in with highlighters. And so the first little icon with a little person in it is just showing that we have a membership to that place. So if we go to the zoo, I know we have a membership there. I don't have to worry about like bringing money to pay for it, just my membership card. And then if it's something that's going to cost, then I do the $sign. And if it's something that's just a free activity, then I mark the little F bubble. So then after that, you actually go in and you start planning out your weeks. And so this is a format that's in a lot of homeschool planners. It's a great layout, and it works great for me. I see people set it up in many different ways. I only have one kid, and so I think it's a lot easier for me to set up my planner than if you have multiple kids. At least that's what I kind of read on socials and stuff. It's a little bit more difficult when you are trying to plan for multiple kids. So I guess consider that if this was a planner that you would even look at, like how that would affect your planning. But the way that I set these pages up are I put the dates on top in the colored bar, and then I put our subjects on the column all the way on the left. Some of our subjects are just like a catch-all kind of. So for warm-up, we have our poetry every day, we have our word of the day, we have our handwriting, and we have like our practice sheets, which are just kind of like important information where she practices writing and remembering our phone numbers, our address, that sort of thing. Then ELA is a group on its own where we capture reading, spelling, writing, grammar. But then you have math, then we have science, and I do our science curriculum and our nature study here. Then we have social studies, where our social studies curriculum and history go here. And then we have VAPA. I don't know if VAPA is a common term amongst the homeschool community. I worked at a school district for a little over 7 years, so that's why I used the acronym VAPA, but it stands for Visual and Performing Arts. So it was anything to do with like our arts division. And so basically anything like artistic here. So for example, last year in this area, she had her standard art, and then she had crochet, and then she had an art enrichment class that she went to. So she had like 2 standard art type situations. And so anything like that, if she were to do dance, that would go in here, anything like that. And then the last group is elective. And so this is where I put foreign languages. This is where I put like horseback riding, anything like that. And I actually put typing in elective as well. And so that is how I lay out my week. And throughout the rest of the planner, that's what you're gonna see. It's the same all the way through, right? And then you have all the way through until May, which is the end of the school year. If you're homeschooling through a charter, at least in California, I don't know if they do it differently in different states. And then at the very end, I have 2 pages of reading logs. I think I'm going to be using these reading logs for my professional development reading and not her reading, because she would just fill these pages up way too fast. And I also created like a reading log book for her that I can't remember if I showed on my last video or not. And if not, I'll try to find it and show it maybe in a short. But it's a really cute like book log, because it's kind of more leaning towards people that are artistic, because she's a very, very artistic individual, more so than writing. And so I think that that's how we'll keep track of her reading, and then this will be for my personal development. And I think I'm going to write them all in here and then cross them off as I read them, because that list is quite extensive, to be honest with you, and it would take me maybe forever if I were to just like write them as I read them. And also maybe that will kind of motivate me, or nudge me to read them faster, because then they'll be kind of like glaring that they're not being read. So then I end with a year reflection, and then these last few pages were a new addition also, because I was really wanting more pages to brainstorm the curriculum for the year. And so this is kind of where I was brainstorming the curriculum that she was going to be using this year. And I need more brainstorm pages, I've learned. I really get into like the planning a year in advance. Like I like to get as much done before the school year and plan out the whole year. So I think I need more pages, but that's what I use these last few pages for, just curriculum brainstorming. And then like, so resources and supplemental, I think that I'm gonna add a page just for that sort of stuff, maybe 2 or 3 pages, because I do like start to collect this kind of stuff as I am researching more resources and stuff. And I like to remember this stuff. I saw somebody did a YouTube video that shared that the author that does 180-day spelling, she has her own YouTube page. So she teaches the concept of each unit, and I thought that was really cool. We love our spelling curriculum, but I mean, I like to have this on the back of my mind, because I mean, if this would work better, then maybe we would switch. So I just like to log that kind of stuff. And I do keep a lot of this stuff in Trello. But Trello really is a place that I plan, and I like to plan in there, because I can really manipulate and move things around. And when I put stuff on paper, it resonates with me more. I'm a very tactile person, and I think it sinks in a little bit more. I mean, we have so much data coming at us every day of our lives. I mean, it becomes to be a blur. But when it's tangible, for some reason, it has a much bigger impact on my memory. And so I'm trying to write more stuff down, to be honest with you. Yeah, just these were all, the last pages were all brainstorming pages, and I just kind of use them for whatever I want. And then next year I'm going to revise them to more fit what I actually ended up using them for. And then these are just blank pages, and so I just started noting all over these the standards for 4th grade, and like what are kind of the things that we want to hit. And then I just had taped one of my planner pages in here where I have a checklist of things that I need to do for this year. Aria has a student binder, and so I need to make sure that's updated. I need to put away all of my curriculum, which it is very, very close to being all put away. I have a little stack right here that I need to do things with, like laminate and stuff like that, and then I'll be able to check that off. All the binders that I needed to create have been created, and then I kind of break it down by the subject. So social studies, I am almost done creating all the graphic organizers, and I need to have the weekly assessments copied and ready so I can just give them to her as a handout. And so this is just kind of what this is. Like, it goes through each curriculum and what I need to do with that to make it ready for us for the school year. And then I have posting notes. Again, a lot of things, noting of what I would change for next year, what I would add, and that sort of stuff. For example, I need a page or two with Aria's interests. This is the first year she came to me with subjects that she wanted to do, and I every year had hoped for that, and I just had kind of thought, well, I'm gonna lead the learning, and that's just how it is. So when she came to me with filmmaking and nature study, I was like, yes, we will fit it in, we will make it happen. And so now, if that goes well, she'll, be open probably to coming to me with more things that interest her. So I want to be ready with some pages to capture that stuff. What else do I have here? To do pages in general. Yeah, I Frankenstein this, but I didn't have like an area to just have like to-dos in here for the upcoming year. I have them for kind of weekly, but not like getting ready for the school year. So more stuff like that. But yeah, so this is my planner, and I hope you liked it. I will link the link to it. Don't feel like you need to get it. I just wanted to share it because I did have some people that were interested in it in my video that I did where I was planning in it. And then realized, because I did have a flip through from last year's planner, I didn't want anybody to think that what was inside that planner was the same as this. But I will link it just in case anybody is interested. I will also link these tabs because they match it really perfectly. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Have a good weekend. Bye.